broadcasting live from an undisclosed location in the universe. Welcome to Iggy Garcia Live, the show where metaphysics, holistic living, motivation, and inspiration come together to empower your mind, body, and soul. We will dive deep into the realms of metaphysical wisdom, exploring the fascinating connections between mind and matter. Get ready to ignite your inner spark and embrace a journey of self-discovery. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.
Hey. What's up, everybody? Iggy here. Welcome to Iggy Garcia Live, episode 224. Today is trusting your path beyond illusions of change. Powerful topic today. But before we start, we always light a candle, giving thanks to our ancestors. We'll do it the old-fashioned way, maybe. Maybe. There we go. Lighting a candle. A little Palo Santo. Feels good to take on some Palo Santo in your vibration, your vibe here, and your energy. Also light a candle here, and this is a gift from a friend of mine, Jeremy Felder, who gave it to me for my birthday. And I'll keep lighting until it's gone. So I want to invoke and call in our ancestors, people from our past, people who helped get us here to this present moment in time. There's a lot of energy that was, pushed through time, historically, metaphorically, and spiritually, especially physically. So I want to give thanks to those who came before me, those who were the trailblazers of my ancestry, my line, who helped me get here, and my siblings and myself. So I acknowledge you guys. This candle will burn while we're on our show here. Put that over here. Right now we're in the crown chakra stage of the candle lighting. So, really good. So I hope you're all doing well. This show is brought to you by Safe and Sound Wellness, 80 Grace Drive, Suite H, Powell, Ohio, 43065. So those of you who've not been to Safe and Sound, we have opened a new wellness center. We do all kinds of amazing things there. We do singing bowls, we do body taming, we do drum circles, we do kundalini, we do shamanic classes, we do workshops, we do Shakti shakedowns. There's just a whole slew of stuff we do. Then our outside events, we have sweat lodge ceremonies, we have, different events that we do. We're going to be at Confest this year. We're going to be the closing ceremony for Confest, which is pretty exciting. Confest is one of the largest volunteer community organized festivals, and people help out and work. We also have a booth there, so you look for Condor Eagle Society and Safe and Sound. And hopefully you guys be part of that. And this weekend, jam-packed. Tonight we have Kundalini yoga with Megan tonight, and we're going to be, that starts at 7 p.m. for those of you who can make it out. But the cool thing about it is we're loaded with a whole bunch of drum circles this weekend. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday, Safe and Sound Wellness Drum Circle. That starts at 7 for the instruction and 7:30 for the actual drum circle. Then on Saturday, I'll be at New Albany Library, and behind the library with Wellness Connection. They have me coming in to do a drum circle from 4 to 5. And then we're in Logan County in Belle Fountain, Ohio, with Jody and Marks with Zendoa, and we're going to be doing a drum circle there. That starts at 3 p.m. And so it's just jam-packed. Just check out our link at Safe and Sound Wellness. That's a .com. Sorry, got stuck there for a second. Or iggygarcia.com. You can check. Everything's there too as well. And, that's kind of where we're at. I also wanted to show you my new book. Everything's probably going to be backwards for you guys. This is my book on companion planting for beginners. And this is proven plant combinations for bigger harvests, better soil, and fewer pests. Your host, Iggy Garcia. This is my book. This is another book I've written. This is something that's close to my heart, passion, and maybe we'll have a show just about this. But tonight, we're going to have other things we're going to be talking about. But you can find this book on Amazon, or you can find it at my website under the bookstore link, Books by Iggy. So you want to check it out. This is a good book. It's starting to sell pretty good. And I'm pretty excited about it. And, this book is shares with you all the different types of groupings and stuff you can do with planting that a lot of people are not familiar with and they're learning to do. So, okay. All right, guys. So, I don't know about you, but the full moon kicked my butt. Yeah, that the full moon in Sagittarius stirred up a lot of emotions, frustrations, angers, a lot of intensity, a lot of just stuff in my body just went crazy during the full moon. And it even affected my dog. My dog is totally like having a hard time, recovering from that. She went through her moon cycle, and so she took a big toll on her body. But she seems to be recovering and coming back from it. She wasn't very hungry, and so we kind of have to feed her a little bit. But, man, I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you felt anything with the full moon, or if you feel anything with the full moon, or maybe you're not into that kind of stuff. But doing this kind of work, sometimes you feel it and sometimes you don't. But sometimes when you do feel it, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming. It's just overbearing sometimes. It's just too much. And I tell you, it knocked me around, It knocked me around pretty good. I didn't know why it was. I mean, I knew it was a full moon, but I never had a full moon really affect me that way. And they say, it doesn't affect. Yeah. If it moves the oceans and the tides and the liquids and of the Mother Earth back side to side, my God, it's doing it to you. It's doing to you through vibrational energy and all kinds of stuff. And so that's basically what happened to me. I was just out for the count. I was not feeling good. Totally frustrated. It was frustrating, to be in that vibe, trying to move it through that energy. And I had a hard time. As much work as I do in this field, as much grounding as I do, meditation, prayer, connection with spirit, connection with God, whatever you do it, it's still, I found it was really difficult. Today, I'm finally feeling a little bit better. I'm a little more focused. Today, the ancestors were like, you got to do a show today. We're halfway through the year. This is June. We've gone 6 months. What have you done in the last 6 months? So I'm asking you, what have you done in the last 6 months? Since January 1st to June 3rd, you probably got a bill to pay today, or you've paid your bills. But regardless, where are you at? What's going on? What's changed? What's shifted in your life? What's kind of things are in your life? What's happening? Sometimes we get really frustrated because we try to change other people. We try to change ourselves. We try to encourage other people to do better. And sometimes they don't get the message, or they don't get the memo, or they just don't know how to do it. There's a lot of people going through a lot of stuff, and they just don't know how to handle that stuff sometimes. It's not anything towards you or against you. It's just the reality that being a human being is not always easy. And it doesn't have to be hard, but it's not always easy. Sometimes that frustration, that wanting to change yourself, can be hard too. We have this internal drive to do better. And sometimes, we don't do better. Sometimes we fall short. And that's okay. It's okay to fall short. There's nothing wrong with falling short. As long as you're able to move from that energy and move out of that space and move into better dynamics with yourself and with other people around you. There's a lot of people who are going through things that you're not going to be able to help ever. They're just where they're at, and they're stuck, and that's the story that they attach to. That's the story that they want to be part of, and that's the story that they just don't want to release that or let go of that. Because, it serves a purpose for them. Is it a higher purpose? No, it's just a purpose. And the purpose is that is where they need to be for the moment. And now, is it the ideal situation? No, it's not always the ideal situation. But you know what? Nobody knows what another human being's going through. We just assume that just because we see the surface level of somebody's existence, that we know who they are. And that's not true. And that's something that in this world, not this country, this world happens all over. We see the surface and we see the evidence that's in front of us, but we don't know. We truly don't know the frustrations, the angers, and the intensities and the stuff that go through people, and why they don't change, and why there's such a push for people to change, why there's such a push for people to do better. Personal development is like huge in this country and huge in the world. People are always looking for ways to do better and to find those communities and those connections where they can attach their wagon to. Not because so much that they're not able to, it's just sometimes you need a little help. And that's where people get caught up into these illusionary existence, these illusionary devices of connecting with people who seem to have their shit together. Sorry, excuse my language. But I just want to be frank with that. I want to be to the point with that. Sometimes we attach our wagon to somebody else's existence because we lack something that they seem to have that we don't have. And even as I do this work, and people who are in this realm of being a preacher, a holistic, a shaman, a body tamer, a singing bowl guy or gal, we have a great responsibility to the people that are in front of us. We have a great responsibility to make sure that they have a safe place. And, even when you create a safe place and you create an environment that's good, there are other players involved. There are other people involved in the situation. There are other people who come into the space and cause and bring their havoc and bring their emotions and feelings too. And sometimes they hide it very well and they don't address it. Now, our job's not to fix people. Our job is to observe and create healthy limits and boundaries with people. The moment we try to fix anybody, the moment we try to fix any human being, we're going to have resistance. Because nobody thinks they're broken. Some people do know they're broken at some level. They just don't know where they're broken at. Sometimes we think because we had an emotional scar or something happened to us that that's where we're broken. No, it's not necessarily true. That's the event that broke us, and that's the event that carries through our blood and through our existence. And so many people carry that. And so many people become vulnerable. And they become very open. And so in shamanism, we call it, being, like Swiss cheese, That's why soul retrieval work or, counseling, spiritual counseling, whatever you want to call it, is vitally important, is to listen and to pay attention to what someone's telling you. The question is, sometimes we want to talk and give our point of view because we think by giving our experience that's going to help them. Your experience is just your experience. Your experience sometimes is not even valid to the conversation that's at hand. Just because I trip and fell doesn't mean that that's going to fix you. Oh yeah, I tripped and fell too. Yeah, but I tripped and fell this way. Oh no, tripping and falling is the same way. No, tripping and falling it's unique to the individual. And that's what happens with a lot of people who do this work. We assume because we fell and they fell that our falling has a connection, a bond. Not always true. Not always true. Your job is to shut up, be quiet, listen to what the client's telling you, what's happening in their life, interject where you need to interject, and then echo back to them what you heard. There's too many of us who do this work who want to, we have empathy. Yes, we have empathy. We have compassion. But there's a line where we cross sometimes where we think that we have the answers for people. And sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. And if you don't have the answers, don't get burned out about it. Don't feel bad. There's a lot of people who, I'm a human being like you, like everybody else. I'll post something and they'll have a snarky remark about my post and I take it personal. Because you know why? You know why I take it personal? And I'm just going to share with you. I take it personal because don't you see it? Don't you see the experience? Don't you hear what I'm saying? Don't you feel the passion? No, they're not obligated to feel your passion. They're not obligated to feel what you feel. They're not in no way obligated to even have any type of connection to what you're saying. When I say it's good to be here, for example, that word for me is a word that I had to learn to say. just like everybody else who says it. For me, it was a very powerful word now. It means a lot more than that phrase. It goes deeper. But for a lot of people who never had phrases or any kind of mantras or any type of way to acknowledge themselves, it's difficult to use that mantra sometimes. And I don't hold that against them. It's where they're at. They don't have to say it. I just share it because it brings me joy. It brings me happiness. If it brings you happiness and joy, then that's great. If it doesn't bring you happiness and joy, then that's great too. There's nothing I can do. If you're not having fun, you're not having a good time, there's nothing I can do, right? If you don't enjoy my drum circles or you don't enjoy any events that we do, you're not enjoying them. That's just it. It's not anything that I did wrong or anything that I'm doing wrong. It's just where they're at in the connection that they're in the space they're created for themselves. It's so much frustration, so much anger, so much intensity that sometimes we stifle our own growth because we like standing in our own poo. Yeah, I said that. We like standing in our own poo. So many of us stand in our own poo because it's warm, it's comfortable. And you know what? Little kids, when they poop their pants, it's warm because they don't want to change their diapers. Some kids take them right off, yes. But it's comfortable. It's what you know. It's only what you know. And you've been wearing a dirty diaper most of your life because that's all you've ever known is the dirty diaper. Because you've not allowed somebody to come in to help you change your dirty diaper because you feel like you can do it yourself. Well, sometimes that's why we have a mother or a grandmother or a father, or a grandfather who lays us down, pulls the paper off, cleans our little butt, And then, same way through church, religion, spirituality, we have those people too who help us through these processes to do better, to heal ourselves. But all healing is self-healing, so that puts a lot of pressure on people too when you say that. So if I say all healing, self-healing, you're like, oh my God, that means I have to do the work. Yes, you have to do the work because I can't do the work for you because I don't know what lies behind the back of your head, what's going on back there. I have no clue. I have no clue if you're angry, upset, frustrated, happy, indifferent, but something's happening because you're sitting here in front of me and we're talking, And here's the thing, and when you're going through these healing processes, you're very open, you're very vulnerable to suggestions, to things that, can alter your way of thinking, put you in a state of mind that maybe it's not yours. So excuse me. So what I want to tell you is that when you move into the next phase of your healing, and how do you know when you're moving into the next phase of your healing? When you start to attract the right teachers, the right students, the right people come in your life, you start to see, excuse me, you start to see this common thread between people. You start to see this connection where everybody kind of has a similar story and there's similar things happening. Like energies attract. So if you know anything about, energy searches for energies that's similar to itself. When people tell me that there's no such thing as God or whatever, then I'm just like, you might as well just cut the power off of your house, and just move on, live like the Amish do, I'll tell you why, because energy, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Those big transformers and those things that are sitting down there on the side of the road that looks like big battery packs, it's just potential energy stored, ready to be distributed to your home. That's how I know energy exists and how energy can transmute and change and be harnessed. And the cool thing is, how do you harness energy? You create energy through different means, right? Even when we do sweat lodge ceremony, we're creating energy. The illusion is that the wood is on fire. The truth, my truth, is the fire was already in the wood and we helped it come out. And then we transfer that energy of heat, the flame, the heat, radiant, the radiative energy of that fire into the stones. And then the stones absorb that energy. They heat up, take in the message from the fire, from the wood, from the earth, from ancestral connection. The wood is ancestor energy. The stones are ancestry. They're all talking. They know the language. And then we move it into the lodge. And then what do? We shed tears. We shed our tears onto the water. We pour water on the stones and poof, we create a new existence. We create a new energy. Now, that whole process of energy transformation, heat hits us. Energy, the heat energy goes into us. The steam goes, the vapors go into our nose, into our mouth, into our bodies, into our skin. We start to sweat profusely because our body thinks that it's dying. This is sweat less ceremony. And I'm sharing this with you because our ancestors, this is how they purified and cleansed. And when I'm talking about the battery, the substations that are the AEP substations or the City of Columbus substations that are there, that's potential energy too. And it travels through these wires, these copper conduits, into your house. And it goes through a meter because they have to charge you, because that's what we agreed to. And then, boom, look, I have lights. My phone works. Look, a cable to my phone, keep it so it doesn't die. That's energy. That's spirit. That's God. That's source. Source flows through all of us. We all have electricity that flows through us. We can't survive without the electrical impulses in our body. We have like minerals through our body, copper, zinc, gold, you name it. It's all there. Why do we need magnesium? Why do we need potassium? Why do we need all these things? Why do we need all these elements in our body? Because we are the elements. We are the most sophisticated robot you'll ever see. Everybody talks about AI and AI this and AI that. I was the poo-hooer about AI. But I also realized, you know what? It's man's intelligence growing. And man's evolution out of his body into a different vehicle. I know it's scary because it means you have to let go of components of your physical existence. Listen, AI is a tool like anything, right? Just like this phone's a tool. We could be on the dial-up phone right now. We could be on the phone right now. Hold on a second. We can be on the phone. Hello? Sorry, wrong number. But my point is, we're supposed to evolve. We're supposed to expand. We're supposed to grow. AI has become a tool, has become an instrument, has become a painter. It has become the Renaissance woman, man, whatever you want to call it, existence. But it only became that because we created it through human interaction. Humanity created AI. Humanity created a lot of things. And humanity didn't create nothing at the same time. Now, the same way that breath was blown into us, we became sentient. And we started doing things. We started creating things. Before we could drive a car, we were walking. We were on 4 legs. Well, then we got up on 2. And then we got up on top of some animals and we rode them. We had horses, 1 horsepower, right? And then one day, some guy bought a steam engine and he's driving around the town and everybody laughed at him or laughed at her, mostly because they thought it was ridiculous. Oh, where's your horse and buggy? And everybody's like, and he's like, oh, you'll see. One day all these roads will be this way. And the Wright brothers, no, they're one of the firsts to take flight, right? Everybody laughed at them. You can't fly. You're not a bird. And many people before the Wright brothers tried to fly. Some glided. But they're the ones who actually had motorized flight, right? For 30 seconds. It was really brief. But we evolved. Humanity evolved. Because they broke through these illusions of change. Because the illusion was, we have to be this way. This is the way things are. It's always been this way. And if we don't do it this way, then we're going against our programming. Humanity's programming. The reason we all live the way we live is because of the programming that we have allowed together, systematically all together. You know, the reason we have all these situations around the world is because we all agreed to it at some level. Now the thing is this has gotten bigger than all of us. It's beyond us now. That we feel like we're out of control from it. Like we can't put like a stop to it. But see, that's the illusion. That's the illusion. The illusion is that, oh, it's bigger than us. It is bigger than us, but we could be bigger than it if we allow ourselves to think that way. But for a lot of us, it's not. It's because it's comfort. Remember when I was talking to you earlier about being comfortable and being okay where you're at? Now, yeah, we're all paying $4 a gallon at the gas pump. And there's a lot of factors. And we can blame, point, and say who did this, who did that. But that doesn't solve anything. The griping, the bitching, the complaining solves nothing. The action is what solves things. And I'm not talking about tearing it down and rebuild it. No, the whole system is corrupt. The whole system is, stacked against us because that's what we've been taught. So how do we participate back into this system area, this illusion? How do we create change inside this illusion that we've created, help create? Because we keep helping creating it. We keep helping it. We keep manifesting it. Even though some of us are chipping away over here, but there's another segment of group going, we love it over here. Yeah, I don't care. Hey, I got freedom of speech. Oh, well, I have freedom of speech too, but no one's listening to me. Well, it's because you're not saying what they want to hear. You're just not saying, you got your group over here. You got all the people over here who agree with each other over here, and you got this other group over here, they agree with each other. It's where is the middle? Where can we come together? Where can we come in here to initiate change that benefits us all, not just one group, one segment? The problem is that we think that we're stuck in this energy, and for the moment we are. Because in the moment, the illusion is too strong. This illusion that we are in. You may think that you can bust out of it because you go live out in the woods by yourself. I am off the grid. Oh, look at me. Ha, 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 ha. And then winter comes and everything breaks down, and then you got to drive into town, and hopefully someone help you. Just because you're off the grid doesn't mean you've succeeded. No, you're still in it. You still drive the roads. You still use the fuel. You still use whatever it means in order to sustain yourself. Unless you're pumping your own petrol out of the ground, your oil, and then converting it into petrol, you're part of the system. You're still part of it. It doesn't matter how far off the grid you are, unless you're absolutely isolated where you don't need nothing. Then maybe that's a different story. You and the bears, But it's just one of those things that, in order to create and go beyond these illusions and create change, a lot has to happen. A lot has to happen. It's not like one day it just changes. Oh yeah, it's over. It takes a moment. It takes time. It takes time. When enough people have had enough, a lot of people will change. And the reason I'm talking about this is because we fall into these traps and these fixes and all these different things about what it means to be spiritual. Like my last show was about spirituality versus religion and the pros and cons to both. And if you haven't heard that episode, you should go back and listen to it because it's a really good show. And why some people choose to go on the path of spirituality and why some people choose to go on the path of religion and why some people merge the two and create a spiritual religious path where they grab pieces and parts from each of it and they ingest it and digest it and put it into their spirit and their soul. And there's a lot of us like that. There's a lot of us who do that. I do that because there's beauty in all of it. And there's beauty in all of it as much as there's corruption and frustration in all of it too. When we think about stuff, and how we move and how we navigate through this world, it's pretty simple, but the thing is we're stuck in a construct that's not ours. It's a construct that was designed for us, and for us to sustain it, and for us to sustain it. That's the key word, for us to sustain it. And there's too many of us who sustain it because it brings them value, it brings them comfort, it brings them uncertainty. They don't have to be uncertain about anything. That's why they live in these constructs. Not everybody's made for these constructs. Not everybody's going to survive in these constructs, but these constructs exist. And you know, as a person who does this work, it's important to do the research and to study and to reevaluate himself or herself and see where maybe they fall short, maybe how we can improve. My choice in how I grow is I never stop learning. I continue learning till the day I die. I never obtain this level. I'm not ascended. I'm not like awakened. I'm not in this place where only I get to stand there. Oh, look at me. I am alone on a star floating around. Woohoo. But there's nobody else here. Where's everybody at? Then what happens? Our ego comes back. We come back down. We regress. We go back into the pits. Then we're so frustrated. And we're so angry and so intensely angry and frustrated because nobody sees it. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants to be free. Everybody wants to be stuck in the matrix. Everybody's comfortable. You got a glimpse of it. But the thing is, it's not so much what you have because it's yours. That's where people get it wrong. People get it wrong. The visions and the moments that you have that are your awakening and your transcendence is yours. Yours alone. It doesn't belong to anybody else. It doesn't. You can share it to your blue in the sky. You can paint a picture. You can make a movie about it. If you're not connected to it, you're never going to see it. And you can't get connected to it because my dreams, my vision, my mind is playing through the receptors of the brain, through the fingers, emotions and stuff. I have to channel all the things that I've learned through a bunch of programming and filing system that's in my head, in the filing system of my heart, the filing system of my gut, the filing system of my brain. And then I have to create it into a reality that maybe doesn't exist. So when you have this epiphany, this awakening moment, this place which is yours, and that's just yours, it's just yours. You could tell people about it. They'd be fascinated, but then they want to find out their journey. And then they go on this journey, and it looks nothing like yours. It has no resemblance. It has no connection. It has no vibration in any way. But the reason why that is because just like you are a raindrop, or the ocean is, you're part of the ocean as a raindrop, or a snowflake that's unique in its own right. Same thing as a human being, as a human. The human race. You bring to the world your own uniqueness, your own blend, your own flavor. Now, not everybody's going to like your flavor because that's why there's, 32 flavors at Baskin Robbins? And you know what? Because they know that not everybody likes strawberry, not everybody can eat strawberry, not everybody likes chocolate, not everybody likes vanilla. But you know what? Humans are that way too. Sometimes we put three cones, right? And then we have 3 different flavors. However you want to do that. But the thing is, your awakening and your moment of epiphany is yours. And that's for you to hold in your heart and go, I see it. I shouldn't expect anybody else to see it. If they see it, it's because they're seeing their own version of their epiphany, their own version of awakeness, their own version of going beyond the 3D realm. Like my friends like to say, we're in the 5D. Okay, you're in the 5D. Okay, but it's not my 5D, it's your 5D. My 5D is not this place that just looks like one big 5D. That's like saying this is what heaven looks like for people who are connected to Christianity. No, the 5D is where you go, where you need to be. It's your own nirvana. It's your own place. And you can go there and come back, leave, and come back into the 3D plane and live in the world here. Live in the world. Chopping wood, carrying water, do it again. Chopping wood, carry water, And then when you need to go back to your space, you go there. Then you can incorporate space and time between the two when you start to move into that energy, when you start to learn how to use it. We have to learn. Because part of our healing is also knowing that we have ego. And the ego mind also protects us from slipping and going off into these places. So how do people fall into these traps? wanting extreme fixes, I like I said, I do research too. And, sometimes I find that people sometimes look for external fixes, and then what happens, they don't really look for those internal drives that they're looking for. Instead of focusing inwardly into their heart, into their spirit, they look for outside stuff to fix them and to center them. Is it possible? Yeah, you can look at a tree and be centered in a moment. So, like I was saying, I do some research, I do some studying because I want to know. I want to know where I'm at too. Two movies I recommend you watch, and I'm not promoting them in any way. I'm just saying, just watch them because it's always good to know. If you feel like there's some reason why Spirit moves us into these directions to do these things. First movie I watched was Kumari. Okay, Kumari was about an Indian man, and he was raised Hindu, and basically he wanted to see if he could create a following, and he created this following, okay, pretending to be this guy, and he named him Kumari. There was no Kumari. He's the first Kumari, he says. He created this thing called the blue light meditation, and the blue light meditation he made it up. And basically what he did, he passed out flyers, invited him to yoga studios, said he was in town, and people jumped on it. Boom. But the whole time he was in this, you have to listen to me. The whole time he was telling people that he wasn't phony, like he wasn't real, like he was fake. Like, but nobody would listen. No one would grasp onto the words that he was actually saying. They were only grasping onto the things they wanted to hear. They wanted to grasp the illusion that if this guy can be enlightened or move into this space, so can I. Now, when I first saw this movie, I thought maybe it was a little deceptive in the way he was doing things. And, I'm like, but then something changed. And I was watching this. I'm going, even though he was doing an experiment and didn't tell people he was doing an experiment, there was a shift in him too, where he realized, what he was doing was bringing joy and bliss to people, but yet he was not who he says he was. Now, did he become who he says he was? At some level, yes, and some level, no. The illusion is that, yes, he finally came into his power. And Spirit works in funny ways, because the man who was the poo-hooer, per se, to see it, just to prove that he could do it, ended up creating a following of 14 people. And these 14 people followed him. But he kept it going. Then, and when he wanted to break away from them and tell them the truth, it was really difficult. Because not only was it, he helped facilitate change in their life. I mean, honest to truth, change. This is like, people were like on the verge of whatever they were going to do or how they were going to move. And his fake existence became an existence. And people were healing themselves because they trusted him. And trust is a big word, but then he broke their trust because, he wasn't who he really was. And how many people do we have in our lives are like that? They pretend to be things they're not. There are healers in our communities, probably. I don't know who they are, but you know them better than I do. So I also look to make sure that I'm also creating a safe haven for the people around me, what that means and what that looks like. But in the end, he pretty much told him, you know what, I'm not the real, I don't know if he really said that, because he changed too. He actually changed too. He actually healed too. He actually became different, even when he shaved off his beard and everything. And then he's like, you know what, I've been doing this as an experiment. 4 people left, never talked to him again. 10 people stayed. They still connected to him. I haven't done a follow-up on the show. I don't know where people are at now, but it fascinated me. I was like, wow. These 14 people believe what he said. They acknowledged him for what he said. So these illusions that we create, these illusions are very powerful. Even when we create illusions in our own mind about who we are, how we see ourselves, and how we think others see us, a lot of times it's not so much how we see ourselves, it's how we think other people are seeing us. But when we have a moment where we can see ourselves how we think, it's hard to look at ourselves unless we're looking in a mirror or a reflection off your phone or whatever. You can't really see who you are. You can only feel the feelings, the emotions, the charges, the energies of who we are. It's like being a joystick, being in a video game. You know, all you see is your hands in front of you, and which is kind of neat because sometimes people have said that we're avatars. You know, we're like these avatars that move because we can't really see other than what's in front of us or beside us, and in our peripheral only goes so far. And they base video games off this stuff too. But check out Kumari, I thought was pretty good. And the other one was Holy Hell. Holy Hell was really wild. It was like, ooh, I know people like this. I know guys like this. I'm going, oh, I knew guys like this. And I was watching that movie, and you need to watch that one too. It's called Holy Hell. It's about this guy who just is like, kind of like, I don't want to say Christ-like conscience, but he had this presence about him that he could just look at you and you just like melt away and get asphyxiated with him. And and it looked like in the beginning, like he was creating a community, and it was really beautiful. When I was watching the video in the beginning, I was like, he's creating something really powerful. But you already knew it was called Holy Hell. You already knew it was gonna go to the pot really quick. It was gonna go downhill pretty fast. But they didn't really use drugs or anything. They didn't drink or anything. So it was fascinating that this guy actually, he was a hypnotherapist. So he used his hypnotherapy skills to hypnotize people, or I don't know how he did it. I have no clue. You know, this went on for 22 years. And, you know, I watched that and I'm going, this guy's like got all these, he's got 100 people like following him. And these 100 people like hanging on everything he says. And he's just like stone cold. I could swear this guy was an alien. Like, if you watch that video, I felt like this guy was like from another planet. He may have been born here, but whatever he was doing, his narcissism, or whatever he was doing, whatever he was feeding off, he was feeding. Like, he was like alien. That was like alien stuff. I never, it was very, almost demonic. It was kind of weird. But everybody, you know, he'd tell people, don't do this, don't do that, don't drink, don't have sex, all kinds of crazy stuff. And then eventually, one girl was in the group, and her parents freaked out. They tried to pull her out. He freaked out. Took like he called them disciples. Four of his disciples. They ran off to look for a new place to stay. 6 months later, they end up in Texas, and they recreate the same thing. So this guy knows how to recreate all this environment, this haven of whatever he was creating. But that's when everything got freaky. Then the abuse came in. Like, he was abusing the men in the group, the younger men, and it just went off the rails. I was like, whoa, this is like really messed up. Turns out this guy was an actor. He was a ballet. He loved ballet. If you watch it, you'll see. And he was molesting the men, raping the men, and total contradiction to everything. And then how he manipulated everybody up against everybody, and how he controlled the whole scenario. They were like, "We're not going to press charges against you if you leave," and blah blah blah. Because there was some healing there. A lot of people admit there were some things that healed in their being with him, even though he was abusive in that way. He ended up going to Hawaii, and the people were like, "Don't ever do this again." So he's like, "Yeah, I won't do it again." But yeah, this guy's like found out that he ended up getting another 100 group of people, and he built it again. And I'm thinking to myself, my God, this guy just did it 3 times in a span of 22 years. He created this community where people are just getting sucked into this illusion that has some special gift and some special magic that only he can bestow upon you. And these are these illusions of change. These are these illusions where people get sucked into, where people find themselves and they get trapped in this. And then the crazy part was, even though with all the violations and all the thing, people stuck to by his side. People were like, no, well, I know, you know, whatever, because they never really talked about it, but, you know, they didn't leave him. I was like, man, this is crazy. You know that he just hurt these guys and they're legitimate. He's not denying it. And it's just crazy. I was just like, whoa, this is crazy stuff. I don't know why Spirit had me watch this, because Spirit wanted me to watch these things, because I'm in this field. I'm in this field of work. And so I'm like, never want to be like that. I want people to come to like my circles and hang out and drum, go home, and you're done. You're happy, and you're moving on. I don't want anybody rubbing my back, massaging my feet. That's not what. So it was humbling to watch this and to go, you know, thank you, thank you for keeping me. It's so easy. I could see where it gets so easy to be sucked into that life, where you think that you're so powerful, that you think you're so adored, and you're so like whatever, and really you're not. You're just another human being who just happens to know how to tap into their own power. And so I found it fascinating. I found it really interesting. And I was really, really glad that I watched that. Glad I watched it. It came on recommendation from other healers and other people, because that's how we learn. That's how we learn to, gauge where we're at, you know, the importance and the acceptance of people, and understand that people come here and their journeys, and they're here to learn, and they're here to just, they want to be different. They want something different. They don't want to be told what to do. They want to be part of something where they're able to walk alongside you, and without manipulation, without feeling like they're being used. They want to stay grounded. They want to be grounded. And that's kind of what I want to do. I just want to be grounded. I just want to walk with people. I just want to be with people. And when we're done, you go home, I go home, we're all happy. We go back to our lives. Then we meet again whenever we meet again. It's about focusing on our own growth, our own inner peace, rather than trying to fix other people or whatever. It's about, finding those pieces and parts that are wounded, and, acknowledging them, and saying, hey, you know what? I know you're broke, and I know that you were broken this time, but I know we can get through this, and I know we can grow, and I know I'm ready to grow, as long as you're ready to grow. And this is a conversation that's not easy to talk to ourselves, and to look at ourselves and say, wow, I'm a wounded person. Wow, I'm doing better. Wow. Yeah, you don't know anybody an excuse. You don't know anybody an apology. You don't know anybody anything. Just be yourself. Be honest and truthful to you, that you're on this journey. It's a path. It's a walk. It's not a destination. You're never gonna. There's no getting there. You know. It's about embracing these moments, finding that peace and the compassion. Where we're all at. Where we all want to be. And so, it's really hard for people sometimes to find the compassion and find that inner peace inside themselves, because we've been taught for a long time. For a lot of us have been taught by other people that we're not valued, we're not worthy. And when we don't feel worthy, that could be an issue. That can stifle our growth. But I realize that a lot of people walk very open, and be very susceptible to the claws of these people who don't want nothing but other than manipulate and control you. And it's interesting, you know, even the wisest and smartest person goes, "Oh, that can't happen to me." But yeah, it does. It does sometimes. I'm fortunate enough in the metaphysical, holistic world that it happened to me, but it happened to me in other avenues and other things, where people manipulated my lack of my economics, lack of my family connection, and I was abused in different ways. I was taken advantage in different ways. But here I am now. Now I'm able to discern and able to look at things differently. Do I always get it right? No, but I'm doing better from where I was before. But when we go and we trust our path, and we start going beyond those illusions, and we open up the moments for change, a lot can happen. A lot can happen. But we have to take the first steps. We have to be the ones to say, okay, I'm willing to move out of this existence. I'm willing to move into something better. I know it's not going to be easy, but I'm willing to try. And there's nothing wrong with try. Everybody's like, oh, don't try. Sometimes our verbiage is powerful, yes. But, sometimes we just have to go and just step out and see where it takes us. You'd be surprised, even here at home, you're sitting on the couch and all the moment you're like, I don't want to sit on the couch. I'm going to take a drive. Your journey has just expanded in so many different ways you can't even imagine. You create an interaction through driving down the road, a connection at the light. If you stop to get something, you create a connection with another human being. Would you have done that at home? No, you'd have a different existence. You'd have a different connection because there would be another person who goes into that space before you, and there's another person who comes after you. So it's like one of these intricate little pieces that float through time and navigate through this energy that we flow. We attract, we call, we bring people into our lives. We release, we let go of things that they don't longer serve us. And that's basically all I have for today. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. It's June and we're excited and it's summertime. It's going to get hot. It's going to be fun. There's going to be pool parties. There's going to be all drum circles. There's going to be, all kinds of cool stuff going on. There's going to be amusement parks. There's going to be picnics. And then some of us are going to say goodbye. Some of us are going to transition. Some of us are going to work out. Some of us are going to go into a different belief system, different religions, different spirituality beliefs. Some of us are going to just stay where we're at and we're comfortable there. Wherever you're at, just know you're there and you don't know any different. You don't have any other vantage point to know that you can go somewhere else sometimes because all you know is where you're at in the moment. You're here in the moment with me, but there's a lot happening in the world. In this present moment, you're able to expand and grow. All right, guys, check me out on iggygarcia.com. That's my website, or go to my YouTube channel. It's good to be here. Check it out. You can see all my videos there. You can find me on TikTok and Instagram. Wherever social media is, I'm there. I also have my soundtracks, my music on there on Spotify and Apple Music. You can check that all out. Visit me on, Safe and Sound Wellness. Come have a session with me. Just go to my website, hit the appointment button. You can set up a time and see what's available. All right, guys. I will talk to you soon. Be well. And you know what? It's good to be here. Ho'oponopono, matakuyasin. What is above is below. Just keep building. Just keep doing the best you can. Just do what you need to be. Trust your path. Go beyond the illusions and create the change that you want, because that's where it's at. Have compassion for yourself. Be present. Be in the moment. Find that peace you're looking for. Because remember, peace begins with me. That's not my quote. That's what somebody else told me once. Peace begins with me. And to my ancestors and to my elders and everybody who's taught me along the way, thank you. And I will see you guys next time on Iggy Garcia Live. Take care. You can check us out on withinsightsradio.com, where you have a whole collection of Iggy, or you can go to my YouTube channel. Subscribe. All right, guys, take care. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.